Hey guys, today I want to take you through five of my favorite classic books that, if you're really ready to go to work on yourself, you could read in 5 days. They are simple reads, but some of the best reads. And the end of that 5 days, if you choose to take this challenge, your life will never be the same with the knowledge that you have now gained. Starting with number one, I've got one of my personal favorites, The Richest Man in Babylon. Now, this book, it's all about money. It's all about finance and it's all about management. It's about just taking control of the finances in our life. And for such a simple read, it is just so packed with wisdom. It's got the seven cures for the lean purse, he calls it, and different ways to make more gold. I love kind of the history he ties in. It's just this fictional character from ancient Babylon, 1,000 years ago, applying these concepts for how he became the richest man in Babylon. And I think what the author was trying to accomplish in this, at least what I take from it, is that financial rules, that's like the law of gravity. This is something that back in ancient Babylonian days, fast forward to the future, even with all our technology and all our things, the main principles are still the same. And if you can learn some of the basic principles of money, of making it, of keeping it, of investing it, it's going to change everything in your life. And I think some people make the mistake of like, oh, I don't read stuff on money or money's dirty or whatever. But the thing is, the people who don't learn anything about money are the one that give the most energy worrying about it because they've never learned the principles and they spend their whole life confused. We don't learn these things in school. We don't learn these things unless we study things ourselves. And this one book, it could completely change if you got tumbleweeds blowing through your bank account right now, if you're in a lot of debt, if you have a lot of challenges or struggles in your relationship, talking about finances, or even if you're doing quite well for yourself, reading this one book will serve you if you just apply some of these principles. It's my favorite book on money. Next book I got here, Love is Letting Go of Fear. This one's actually sold 4 million copies, but it seems lesser known to me. Not many people I talk to have ever heard of this book. And this one is just one of my favorites about personal responsibility and our mind and our thoughts. And the whole book, I'm going to actually read right from it, is just wrapped up in two statements at the end. And he says, if we perceive things not as problems, but rather as opportunities for learning, we can experience a sense of joy and well being when the lessons are learned. And then the second thought is, in my mind are thoughts that can hurt me or help me. I am constantly choosing the contents of my mind since no one else can make this choice for me. And those two power statements, if more people could realize this, we wouldn't put us in the place of playing the victim and making excuses and continuing to act in ways that don't serve us or the people around us, but having the ownership that when you really step back, nobody can choose your thoughts but you. You are the only person. Viktor Frankl, in another great one, Man's Search for Meaning, he says that's the last of human freedoms, right? He went to concentration camps and that's what he came away with. The last of human freedoms, no matter the situation, is being able to choose our thoughts. And the book also talks about everything we give away, we're actually giving to ourselves. So if we're giving excuses, if we're giving negativity, if we're giving resentment and envy, all those things are coming back to us to negatively impact our life. So you have to be very careful of the thoughts you choose. And that starts with admitting that whatever your circumstances and situations in life, you are choosing the thought that you have. 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness by Jim Rohn. He's one of my favorite motivational speakers who was big in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. He talked in front of thousands and thousands of people, and ultimately his whole core message over the 30 plus years that he was speaking is all in this book. Starting with goal setting, how to do it properly so that you can achieve your goals and you're living into a vision that you set for yourself. Finances, building wealth, relationships, communication. It's all in there in his 7 strategies. And it's this thin read packed full of good stuff that is his whole core message. That is one of my favorite books, one of my favorite speakers. You can still see all sorts of his stuff on YouTube or you can just read this book and level up your life. The next book is called Try Giving Yourself Away by David Dunn. I stumbled upon this one fairly recently and I read it and I just loved every bit of what he's saying in here. The core statement is about our life becoming what we give, and what we have to give, it comes from ourselves. And it's not just talking about money, giving money, that's part of the book, but he talks about giving yourself away can be encouragement to someone else. Giving yourself away can be applying your skills and your gifts and just having influence and impact. And the greater than the higher level that you do that to in your life, it's all gonna go full circle. What we give away comes back to us, and it's gonna help you live a more fulfilled life as well. So taking your eyes off of the focus of what I can get and instead saying, hey, what are my strengths? What do I do well? What am I going to give? I also, as a side note, he has a great point in there where he says part of giving is actually accepting compliments or accepting gifts as well, which is a kind of a strange thing. A lot of people I find, especially if quite humble, they have difficulty accepting compliments. You say they look great, and they're like, "Oh no, 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 this, whatever." That you like their shirt, and they're like this ratty thing, or a compliment about their personality, and they won't accept it. And he says you're stopping the flow of giving because you're not letting the other person give themselves away by accepting with just saying, thank you. I appreciate that, or I'm grateful for you. And so it really goes into every angle of giving yourself away and also being a person that lets other people give themselves away, and that comes back to you. So really, this is how I want to live my life. This became his whole philosophy, his whole life mantra. The authors, he shared it with the world. He's passed away now, but he's made an impact on me still, and that I want to do a better job in this life of giving away more and more of myself to hopefully have the biggest impact possible in my time here. Book number 5 is As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, a true classic. Lots of people have heard of this one, written in 1903. As far as for your 5 books in 5 days challenge, I got the collector's edition, which is a little bit, it has 2 books in one actually. As a Man Thinketh is actually that first part here. So you'll see it's quite a simple read, but one of the most powerful reads that I've had in my life. Actually, even the Armory brand, the fitness brand that I've created, it comes from a quote in this book where he talks about the armory of thought. And that quote jumped out at me years ago. There's so much truth to what he says. It's all about how our thoughts create our reality. If we don't choose our thoughts wisely, we are not going to get the reality that we want. To change our reality, we have to change our thoughts. I truly believe anybody who reads it can take powerful things from just having that extra layer of almost accountability to think for themselves, stop and be like, what are my thoughts? How are these thoughts maybe impacting my life? And if you want something different, you got to change your thoughts. It's just that simple. So, those are my 5 reads that you could read in 5 days for your life to never be the same. Talking about everything from finances to communication to personal relationships to goal setting, right? Wealth building. Everything is in these 5 books. I'm giving you the tools here, the keys. These continue to have a big impact on my life today. And I want the same thing for you. Pick up these books, take my 5 books in 5 days challenge, and let me know how it went for you.